Hello everyone, this is Shivay Dwivedi and today we are going to look deep into what is Hypertext Transfer Protocol is. In this course, you will learn almost everything about the basics of HTTP. I will not refer it by Hypertext Transfer Protocol throughout this course. I will just say it as HTTP so you will get it. Now, let's move into it. So before moving forward to understanding like what is it, how does it function, let's just understand why do we even need it. Like why do we need to know what is HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocol is, how does it work, what benefit does it gives to us. So let's move forward. So here you can see we can say that Hypertext Transfer Protocol or HTTP is basically the language how internet communicates. Let me explain. As you already know that internet is a network of multiple devices situated at different locations. A very small example of internet is if you connect your mobile phone to with your friend's mobile phone and like just say you four friends connects your mobile phones together, then you have your separate network of devices. You can also call that as internet. We wouldn't call that as internet because there is a different name for it. We'll look forward into later in this course. But yes, you know, internet is a connection of multiple devices located at different locations which can communicate with each other. So for communication, the prerequisite is the language, and that's where HTTP comes. HTTP is that language which provides that communication between the devices. One of the device asks some question to some another device, and that particular devices which has been asked for some response responds to the particular query or question. This whole request response cycle is basically what internet is. Hope you got it. So I can say like if multiple devices are connected with each other, so one of the devices say, hey, I want this particular thing, and the another device which has been requested by the device A responds, okay, you want X, take it. This is how the whole internet functions. It can be defined as a very big request response cycle. Hope this is clear. So let's deep dive into it. So let's look forward. What is HTTP? I have already told you it is abbreviated as HTTP, but the full form is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It is an application layer protocol. Now, many of you must be familiar with what is an application layer, and those who are not, don't worry, we'll look into it later in this course. But just for now, take it with a pinch of salt. There is something called as application layer. Application layer. So, okay, let me give you some introduction for application layer. So there is a thing called TCP/IP protocol suite. Now, another new term, what is TCP/IP protocol suite? So, to put this in simple terms, I can say that there are some rules defined for how the internet will work or how the devices will communicate with each other, how this whole system will be connected and act synergically. That set of rules we can say it's called as TCP/IP protocol suite. Got it? So in that particular suite, there's a thing called, or there is a component called application layer protocol. Application layer, sorry, not application layer protocol. Application layer is one of the component of that whole TCP/IP protocol suite. And our HTTP works in that particular layer, particular component in that particular application layer. So we commonly say it is an application layer protocol. Its function is to enable the communication or the exchange of data between web-based applications. Yes, I have told you already that it is the language of how internet communicates. So, but obviously it is used for web-based application or internet-based applications. Now, what's the purpose of HTTP? So, it's very simple. Its purpose is to deliver the content. That content could be anything. It could be HTML pages, videos, audio files, documents of some sort, PPTs, Word document, Google file, Google sheet, Excel sheet. It could be anything. So its whole purpose is to deliver all those data or information over the web or over the internet. So you can also call it as the messenger of the web or the postman. I like this postman analogy a lot. It is basically the postman of the web. Got it? Now let's move forward. So this whole HTTP or this protocol, hypertext transfer protocol, was created initially in 1991 to deliver only HTML files. Okay, at that time internet was very new. If you go and look forward in Google, if you Google for some retro website, you will get to know why it's only developed to deliver HTML documents, because at that time websites weren't as fancy as they are now. Currently websites have multiple things, 3D elements, renditions, different things, but back in the day it's just basic plain HTML documents. So it has been developed to deliver those HTML documents. But over the time, as our internet evolved, our protocol has also evolved with it. So now it could support multiple media types. As I have already told you that you can send anything over the internet, and you are already doing so. You are watching this particular video on the internet on a platform called YouTube. So YouTube is delivering this video file to you. How YouTube is able to do this? With the help of our cute little protocol, hypertext transfer protocol, aka HTTP. Now it is very beneficial. How? So it's very simple. Yeah, it is literally very simple. It's very widely adapted. Almost all of the internet works on HTTP, and I've already told you it is continuously developing. In initial days it is developed only to deliver HTML document, but now you can send anything over the internet with the help of this particular protocol. So yeah, it is very beneficial for us. It makes this whole process of delivering data over the internet very fast. Got it? Now, as I've already mentioned earlier, a thing called TCP/IP protocol suite. So what is TCP? So the TCP is an abbreviation. Its full form is Transmission Control Protocol. It's very simple. As the name suggests, transmission means to transfer something from one place to another. In terms of internet, it's from one device to another, from requester to responder. As simple as that. So this whole TCP is called transfer layer, transport layer. I'm sorry, transport layer. You can see in this particular diagram at number 4 is our transport layer. So you must be seeing this new term OSI model. Now what is OSI model? So when we'll cover operating system, which we'll cover very soon, there I'll explain this whole OSI model in depth. But now just take this as a concept. There is a thing called OSI model which has multiple layers: application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. So among all these 7 layers, there is a layer called transport layer, and our TCP works in that particular layer. Or maybe you can say that our TCP is the transport layer. So what does transport layer do? A very important question. What does this transport layer actually do? Why do we even need to care about it? So transport layer, what does what transport layer does, we can simply say that it processes IP addresses and port information. Again, too much technical jargon, but let me simplify this. So you already know, most of you must already know, that IP addresses are basically your addresses of your particular location on the internet. Every device in the world has an IP address. Your computer has an IP address, my computer has an IP address. So our transport layer processes those IP addresses, or we can simply say that as basic addresses, and deliver that particular data which you requested from the internet to your particular address. Basically what Amazon does, Amazon asks you for your house address or wherever you want to get the package delivered, and they get your package delivered to that particular address. So transport layer also does the same thing. Now we can move forward. There could be a whole separate video or lecture on TCP, OSI model, transport layer, on all of these things. If you want it, please comment. I'll make sure that I make a separate course on that too. So let's move forward. Now before jumping into what is HTTP is, how does it function, let's take these 3 terms into consideration: URL, URN, and URI. What are all these things? So URN is called as uniform resource name, URL is uniform resource locator, URI is uniform resource indicator. I know, it sounds quite repetitive, but wait, have some patience. It will be very clear. So many of you must be viewing this diagram for the very first time. So let me break it down for you. You can see this Venn diagram where URI is the superset and URN and URL is the subset of this URI superset. Most of you must have heard the term URL. URL is basically that website address. Okay. Now, so what are all these? What they does? URN or uniform resource name provides a location independent name for a source. Let me break it down. So on the internet there are multiple things available, but they all must have a name to track them. Just say if you are looking for a t-shirt on the internet, but you don't know what a t-shirt is. You just know a cloth, but you don't know that is called as t-shirt. So you won't be able to find it over the internet. So you must know the name of it. So there comes URN. URL is basically the location of the particular website or the address of a particular website. And URI is an identifier which identifies that particular website over the internet. URI consists both these URN and URL. Hope you get it. Now let's move forward. So let's look into some key characteristics of HTTP. Very important thing. Whenever you hear the term HTTP, these three things must come to your head at the blink of an eye. HTTP is connectionless, stateless, and media agnostic. Now let's look forward into each term separately. What does connectionless actually mean? So after you send a request, your connection closes. Yeah, it's gone. When the response is ready, a new connection is established. There is no continuous maintenance of the particular connection. So let's just say you are asking on any browser you use, let's just take Chrome for simplicity. You write www.amazon.com, which means you are requesting your internet or your browser to give you amazon.com. Okay, you have sent a request that you want to visit amazon.com, and once that request is sent to the internet, your connection closes. Simple. And now when your browser is ready with the response, okay, this is your amazon.com, your shopping website, it establishes a new connection with you and then sends the response back to your browser, and again the connection closes. So there is no continuous maintenance of the connection. Once the request is made, the connection closes, and once the response is ready to be delivered, a new connection establishes, and then when that particular request is delivered, the connection closes again. Hope you all got it. Now, what does stateless mean? So I would like you to read this out first. No memory of previous connection, which communication. So you have made a request, you want to visit www.amazon.com. This is one communication, and now you want to go to Myntra. Okay, so once you have closed your interaction with amazon.com, the whole connection, the whole of your connection with Amazon breaks at that very moment. Each request you send to the internet is independent. None of the two requests are connected. Every request is treated as the first one unless additional data. So now the additional data thing comes into the picture, which is cookie. So let's say you visit some website and you must have seen a pop-up. They are requesting for to deliver some cookies. Now what is cookies? We'll look into it later in a separate video, but just say that cookie is basically the information of your particular state. Okay, if it's getting too complicated, just think of cookie as a way to asking or storing for your information with the particular website. Now, what are cookies? We don't have to get into it right now, we can skip it. So basically, unless or until a particular website asks you to allow them to send cookies and to store your information, none of the website can store them. None of them, unless they are illegally storing them from backend. So that's a whole other thing. But unless until you allow them, none of the website can store your information or data, because that's how HTTP is made. It's made to provide you that independence of every request. No two requests are connected. each request is independent until unless you allow them. Got it? Now, again, I have already told you it's media agnostic. Back in the day, it is developed only for delivering HTML documents to the web, but now you can deliver anything between a client and a server. You can deliver anything, a text message, image, video, anything. You can send anything over this protocol. Got it? So whenever you hear the term HTTP, these three things should come straight to your mind that HTTP is connectionless, stateless, and media agnostic. So I hope this is clear. Now let's move forward. And I have already mentioned a client server protocol or a client server architecture. So what is a client server architecture is? Now, let's just say you are the client and you are requesting for a particular website from your browser. So you made a particular request with the server or where browser acts as a mediator. Your browser brings your request to the server. Brings your particular request to the server, and then server is going to provide you an appropriate response. This whole thing is called as request response cycle. Our whole internet works on this. Like everything on the internet could be summarized as a request response cycle. You made some request and you get a response accordingly. Got it? It's not tough, it's very easy. So now let's move forward. Let's look more into what is request response cycle. So let's say you want to visit a website called as mywebsite.com. You want to go into the product section of that and you want a particular thing called my product. For the sake of simplicity, I just say you want to visit www.amazon.com. You want to go into the product section and then you want to see some products. So it should fetch you a products page. All the pages over the internet are HTML pages which get served to you. So it would always be an .html file. .html is an extension. Okay. Now your browser acts as the client on your behalf. I have already told you that browser acts as a mediator. You ask your browser for particular response and your browser brings that request of yours to the server. Okay, your browser, which is acting as a client on your behalf, establishes a connection, to be more specific, a TCP IP connection with the server via the internet, and it sends an HTTP request. Okay, now once the request is sent, your connection closes. I have already told you that HTTP is connectionless. So, after your request is sent, server has received your request. Now the server processes your request and then it sends you an appropriate response. Okay, when server intends to send you a response, a new connection is established between the server and the client, which is your browser in this case. So with the help of that new connection, your HTTP response is sent. Once you have got the response, the connection closes again. Got it? Yes, it's very simple. It's a basic request response cycle. The client makes a particular request. A request is sent to the server. Between request made by the client and received by the server, there is an TCP IP or basically a connection. Once the request is received by the server, your connection closes, and then when server is ready with the result, server sends back the response to the client, and then client gets their response with the help of a new connection. Got it? Once the client get the particular response they desire, the connection again closes. It's very simple. Let's move forward. So by this time you all know what is HTTP and how the basic internet works. So now let's look into different part of a particular HTTP request. All the requests you make with the server are HTTP requests. So your HTTP request has a particular structure. In simple terms, I can say that whenever you let's just think of it as an application for leave. We all have written those in school time. So when you write a particular application, it has a structure. It has some designation at the top, then a subject why you are writing that particular application. After that, your body of the application, that why you want a leave, and then a closing statement. Okay, this is a basic structure of an application to grant leave. Similarly, your each and every HTTP request has a structure. In that structure, there is a thing called HTTP message. So once your HTTP request is sent to the server, a server has to decode that particular request, and a server could only do that if the request is structured in certain way. So there is a thing called HTTP message. It's an essential part of an HTTP request. Okay, now what is an HTTP message? It basically consists of your request in a particular manner. Your HTTP message have three parts. One is the start line, other is the header, and third is the body. Okay, what is the start line? Start line is simply your request. So you want to get a particular page on the internet, or once the response HTTP response is sent, then the data about that response. What is this? What is all this HTTP 1.1 200? Okay, we'll look into it later. But first of all, listen that your HTTP message have a structure, so it makes easier for the server to understand it. So a basic HTTP message starts with a start line, which consists of what? Your request, your connection, and get is basically the order you are giving to the server, like to get you the particular web page. Got it? Now, what is headers? Headers are basically some extra information attached with that particular message. So what is the extra information? So the extra information basically consists of host, like who is the host asking for the response, what's the content type it is asking for, is it asking for a HTML page or a text document or an image file. So that is defined in the content type section. What is user agent? I'll explain it later. Then after the start line and header, there comes the optional body. Now, or we can simply say the body of the message. It consists of the message you actually want. The message could be anything. It could be some JSON data, it could be some HTML content, as I have already told you. So now let's move forward and look into it. So our HTTP messages are of two types. One is a request message, which server receives. These request messages are sent by the client to the server, and other kind of HTTP message is the response message, which server responds with or the client receives. So client first sent a message and then receives it. Very simple thing. Let's move forward. So let's look straight into what let's straight to the structure of HTTP request message. So here you can see it, the basic structure of an HTTP request message is method, request URL, HTTP version. So what is HTTP method? Let's look at it. So HTTP method indicates that what kind of action you want the server to perform. Do you want it to get you some kind of information from the internet, like receiving some particular web page from the internet, or you want to send some information to the internet? For example, you are chatting with one of your friend and one time, and you just want to send a message. Again, they have to establish a connection between you and your friend, and after that particular connection is established, only then you can send something to your friend. So either you want to get something from the internet, or you want to send to the internet. Some other features are patch means basically making some changes in existing data over the internet. Put means to put something new over the internet, or you want to create a whole new resource on the internet. Delete, as the name suggests, deleting some already existing resource on the internet. So there are four, like here you have seen 5 methods, but the most frequently used methods are these 4 methods. One is get, post, put, or delete. So now what does get method does? As you have seen here is your get method. Now what does this get method actually does? It retrieves data from the server. Simple, as simple as that. You are asking for some particular data, and your server is responding you with that particular data. So you are requesting or ordering basically the server to get you some data. So that data could be anything: loading some standard HTML pages, basically getting some particular website, or some more complex data like XML data, some CSS data, JSON data, or images, anything, like getting anything from the server. To get anything from the server, you have to use the HTTP method, which is get method. Then another method is post. Post method is basically submitting some data to the server. Let's just say you are a blog writer. You have written a draft and now you want to publish it. Okay, you want to send your particular draft to the internet. So what you do, you just put your draft on the internet by using post. Post, as the name says, you post something on the internet. So the most common use of post method is submitting some form. You are given a particular form and now you have to submit it. So that's where post method is used. Now, got it? Third method is put. So let's say you have already posted a particular blog on the internet and now you want to update it. Okay, you have seen some typos and now you just want to change them. So which method will you use? You'll use put method. Put method changes, or I would say make changes to the already existing data on the internet. Got it? Then comes our last method, like last among these 4 most important or most commonly used. These are the methods you are going to witness most of the time, is the delete. As the name suggests, deleting something from the server. Let's take for an example a blog. You have posted a blog someday you have just posted a blog and now you want to delete it. So you do what? You send a request to delete that particular blog from the internet, and the server does. Got it? So these are four most widely used HTTP methods: get, post, put, and delete. Okay, now let's get back to the structure of our HTTP message, request message to be specific. So now we know what is a method. Method is basically you are telling to the server what action he has to perform. Okay, so here you are employing get method. Get method to get what? Particular index.html or some HTML file. Got it? So this whole thing is what index.html is, basically the request URI, uniform resource identifier. You are submitting a particular location over the internet which you want to receive data from, that particular location you want to receive, so you have to specify that in your request. Simple. Let's just take for example, you want to visit amazon.com. So what URL would you use? amazon.com. So it will give you some HTML pages related with amazon.com. Very simple. Your request URI. So as we have seen by now is method. You are using get method to get your particular index.html, which is a request URI here. Now, what is HTTP version? Because by now we haven't talked about HTTP version. But I have already told you that HTTP is constantly evolving protocol. Back in the day, it is used only to deploy or to send HTML files over the internet, but now you can send anything. So with the time, HTTP has evolved from, it has took different forms in the form of different versions. So now nowadays the currently most used HTTP version is HTTP 1.1. So here you are using HTTP 1.1, you're defining which version of HTTP you are using. Got it? So this is our start line. As I have told you here, HTTP message have three parts. One is start line. So this is our start line. Now we look into header. What is a header? Header consists of some extra detail about your particular request. So here you are giving information about your host. What is our host here? Example.com. I have used example.com, but you can simply think of it as we are already using Amazon's example, so we'll continue with that. You are using www.amazon.com. You want to view men's t-shirt section on amazon.com. So your host is amazon.com and you want to get something like men's t-shirts.html page. Got it? Very simple. Again, user agent is Mozilla 5.0. You can skip it for now. It's a bit advanced thing, so you can skip it. After that, the body thing. Like, what is this optional body thing? So, thing is, you are requesting for some HTML data, which may also consist some text data, image data, or anything. So here you are defining, you want text data of that HTML file. Hope you all are getting it. Optional body just defines what kind of data you want. Got it? So now we can move into structure of our HTTP response message. Here you have made a particular request that you want index.html. So now server will get your request and process it, and then it will deliver you with some response. So here is our response. Our response message basically looks like, first this will show what version of HTTP you are using or what version of protocol you are using, then it will say status code. It's a very interesting thing. Interesting. You all must have witnessed something called as 4.4. I'm sorry, 404. Yes, it's a meme in current internet era. 404. 404 means response is denied. What 404 is? It is basically an status code. So you have made some particular request to the server and then server has responded you. To represent that response, server employs these status code. So here, later in the course, I'll give you a list of most commonly used status codes, but now you can just take it with a pinch of salt that 200 is means everything is good, you are getting your response. Whenever the status code is 200, it means everything is going good, your response is delivered. So 200 OK is our status code and reason phrase. Again, status code is 200 means everything is good, reason phrase is OK. Got it? Then comes our header name and header value. So again, I have told you that header contains some extra information about the particular HTTP message. I'm sorry. So here, the content type you are getting is HTML data. So your content type is defined as text/HTML. Then content length. It varies with every response, so you don't have to by heart it. And after that, in the response body in the response message, optional body means your particular HTML data. So here is your HTML data. This is very intuitive, so I hope you all get it. And now we can move forward. We have already seen what HTTP methods are. So let's take a deep dive into what our headers is. I have already told you that header are basically the extra information about your particular request or response. Okay. Headers are basically key value pairs. Okay. Key value pairs that contains metadata about an HTTP request or response. So what does the term metadata means? Metadata means data about data. Okay, you must have worked with HTML files. Even if you have written some very basic HTML boilerplate code, you all have witnessed it. So there you have seen that some HTTP metadata is already defined in the head section, which is which character protocol you are using. For example, most commonly used is UTF-8. Which language you are using? Most commonly is US English. Got it? So that contains the data about your data. So you are writing some HTML file which is using character set UTF-8 and it is written in language English. So basically your HTML file is data, but metadata contains data about that data. Hope this makes sense. So your header, what basically does, it adds context to your requests and responses. Okay, so let's just say you are a client and you have made some request from the server and you get a response. Very basic request response cycle. So your basic request looks something like this, that you want to get some image of particular thing. Okay, now these all are headers except DPR, viewport width and width. So you want to get particular image. Now webp is webpack image. This is some more data about that image. Viewport width is how wide your image will be, like what percentage of your image will be shown on screen. Okay, so viewport port width is 460 and the absolute width of the image is 230. So it just contains more information about the information you are already getting. Then let's just look into our response message. So 200 OK means everything's good, you have received your response. Again, now it is showing what content type. What content type you are having is image, is a webpack image. Webpack is protocol for images over the internet. You can leave it for now, or you can just Google it. It's not that difficult. Then content length, it varies from response to response or data to data you are receiving. Content DPR vary. So basically, if I just say that you have requested for an image and you got an image from the server, this does not make things clear. But when I add some context to it, that you are asking for a particular image which has some width this and it looks something like this, then it makes more sense. Context is very important to understand things better. So it is very important in our daily life too. So that's the same principle applied here, that context makes your HTTP message more meaningful. Hope you all get it. Some basic example of these HTTP headers are status code. I have already told you what a status code is. Your connection, your date of request or response, content type you are asking from the server. Okay, so we are done with HTTP headers. Now let's move forward. Some more information about HTTP headers. HTTP headers are basically mostly of three types: general headers, request headers, or response headers. So you can go as much deep in this as you want, but we have just going too deep in HTTP header will be beyond the scope of this particular lecture, which is mostly beginner friendly. So I'll skip it for now, but you can look into it by your own, or if you request for it, then I'll make a separate video going more detailed in this whole HTTP header thing. Okay, now another some more example of HTTP request or response headers. So here in this image you can see here is what 200 OK is status, HTTP 1.1 is protocol version, access control server, connection date, last modified, content encoding, content type, content length. These are just things which adds context to your particular request or response. Okay, now let's move forward. Now some juicy stuff. Status code. This one thing you all are familiar with, 404 not found. Yes, it's a meme nowadays. So we can see that HTTP status code are what? They are basically a way to tell you in very less words that is your message delivered correctly or not? Have you received the response or not? Okay, so there are different type of status codes, so we'll look into it. Okay. So just think, if we have defined these status codes arbitrarily, then it would be very tough for us to ever use them. Okay, so in order to avoid that confusion, we have used some ranges for particular status code. So all the status code of 100 range is informational, request received or processing. It's not for you general public's use. Or that all the 200s range is for success, like successfully received, understood and accepted. So when we say that we got a response 200 OK, which means everything's gone well, you have successfully received your particular response. 300's range means redirect. It basically means that some further actions are required in that particular data. You have to redirect to some another page. Now, the 400s thing is client error. Client error is request does not have what it needs. So let's say there is some web page that does not exist on the internet right now, but you are asking for it. So you will get what? 404 not found. That internet or your browser is unable to find that particular request of yours, or server is unable to give a response for that particular request. So that is a client error. And all the 500th range of status code means server error. For some reason server failed to fulfill apparent valid request. Got it? These are the ranges. You don't have to mug up all of them. Just take a basic understanding. As you'll get more familiar with all these, it would just become a second nature to you. Okay, now let's move forward. So here are some most commonly used status codes. So as we have already seen, 200 OK means everything's gone well, you have received your request. 201 OK created means you are trying to make something new, like you are trying to post something or put something over the internet. So you'll get a message 201 OK created. 301 means move to new URL. As I've already told you that all the 300 range of HTTP status code means some kind of redirection, that you are redirected from this URL to some another URL. Okay, then 400 means bad request. What is a bad request? We'll look. Okay, let me just explain it here only. So bad request means you are requesting for something that does not even exist. It has not been created yet. So the server will respond by saying 400 means bad request. You are asking for something which is not available. So all the 404 most common, not found. So all the 400th ranges related to some kind of client error, and 500th range is some issue with server error, internal server error. It could be anything. So just let's skip it. We don't have to get into it. Okay. So now, as I have told you, there is a thing called development of this particular protocol, or hypertext transfer protocol. So this is basically the protocol, I would say evolution of our protocol. So it has started, this all has started with HTTP 0.9, then it came to HTTP 1.0, and then 1.1, and now currently highly used is HTTP 2. But it's not, HTTP 2 is not the latest. The latest one is HTTP 3. HTTP 3 is basically the future of the web. Currently HTTP 3 is not as widely used, but in future, as 0.9, 1.0 have become obsolete for now, so in future HTTP 3 would be the norm. Currently it's not being used as much as it should have been, but in future surely it would take over. So now, before ending the session, I would just like to say that next video I'll be posting would be on the versions or the evolution of our HTTP protocol, hypertext transfer protocol. So yes, I'm planning to make a full-fledged video representing how this whole HTTP thing evolved from 0.9 to currently the most latest HTTP 3. So if you're interested in it, please keep following and please just stay notified. Okay, so thank you. It's done for today, and I hope you all got something informational from this particular video. Okay, that's it. Bye.